Let's have a look at your starting grid. So following on from yesterday, Matthias Schulze starts from pole position. David Girouche will start up alongside on the front row, with Alexander Klugel and Kenyon Washington completing the top two rows. Nine Bretag did not take any participation in the second heat yesterday, but will now be in the thick of things for today's races. So it's very good to see that youngster back out on track. So we have 9 minutes plus an additional lap of racing. Their penultimate race of the 2021 season. There is Matthias Schulze. Big thank you to the people in excess of 115 now currently watching. Thank you so for joining us throughout the race. So it will be between Matthias Schulze and David Girouche. Now, has there been a problem for Nine Bretag? Because I can't see him on the circuit. This has been an issue. Right then, there are 4 drivers on the circuit, so Nine Bretag did not make it out. So through into the tram lines, revs rise. Are we ready? Full start has been called by race control, and we've got a red flag. I think I've just seen a red flag there. And that is confirmed, so red flag has been called. So you can actually now see that Nine Bretag has ended up on the back of this train. So we're going to try this again. Second time vasking out of the final corner into the tram lines. The revs start to rise. Are we ready? They're going to bring them over. So they've done the red flag. They're just stopping them there. Just asking them to so they're getting everyone out of their carts, it looks like. That is one of the race direction crew there. Supposed to be Thomas Leiner, if memory serves me correctly, on the finish straight. Just explaining how they want things done. And a little bit of instruction to Nine Bretag and Matthias Schulze and Kenyon Washington having another quick brief cut of conversations. So once again, we are going to be getting things going. So going to try and get the tyres and engine up to temperature, get themselves ready for racing. So it will be Matthias Schulte that starts from pole position. David Jerush in second in the 1-2-1. Alexander Klugel in the 1-8-0. Kenyon Washington in the 1-1-4. And Naim Bretag in the 1-91. So yeah, it was a 5-second time penalty for pushing for Kenyon Washington. Now we are waiting for Naim Bretag to close on in on the back of the field, and there he is. Right, so the final corner. Revs rise. Are we ready? We have got a green light. We are racing, and Matthias Schulte gets a good start, and David Jerush drops behind of Alexander Klugel and Kenyon Washington. Now we've seen some great battling between this reduced number of drivers. And Schulte is keeping the lead for the moment, but Alexander Klugel was looking briefly up the inside there on Schulte for the race lead. Kenyon Washington has got David Jerush breathing oil over his back bumper right now. Lap 1 completed. Schulte leads the way by 0.232 ahead of Alexander Klugel. Kenyon Washington a little bit further back, is about half a second adrift. No, he was half a second adrift before David Jerush said otherwise, and Jerush has got back past. 1-2-1 now up into third position, as Klugel trying to get onto level terms with Matthias Schulte. Schulte not making it easy at all. Far part of the circuit they go into the hairpin. Klugel's got a... He looks to the outside to try and get the cut back. Great defensive work there by Matthias Schulte, who gets a little bit of a nudge from behind, a little bit of an assist. Doesn't help, but it hinders Alexander Klugel. But Alexander Klugel through into the next right-hander, takes the lead on lap number 2 of this race. Across the line, and Alexander Klugel now leads by nearly 9.5 tenths of a second ahead of Matthias Schulte. David Jerush rounds out the top 3 ahead of Kenyon Washington, and Jerush now closing in on Matthias Schulte. What is second on the road? Kenyon Washington. Is about 9 tenths of a second behind. There is the move by Jerush. Jerush now back up into second position, having got past Matthias. And now Kenyon Washington is closing in, and Naim Bretag, a 3-second post-race penalty given for 2 wheels outside of the corridor, or 2 wheels outside of the tram lines. And Washington now is in P3 ahead of Schulte. There's Alexander Klugel, and I think, oh, don't tell me it's happening again. Looks like the weather is getting a bit tricky. Yep, there were showers predicted, and could be that the drivers are now going to have to watch what they do. The tail ends of these carts are going to be a little bit sideways. The slippery surface flags are out. It's going to be about who measures the conditions the best. If it's a significant amount of rainfall, they will red flag it on safety grounds, because the drivers started this race on slick tyres. And Kenyon Washington gets very sideways onto the approach into what was the penultimate well, which was the last right-hander on the circuit, the very tight hairpin. Alexander Klugel is just trying to coax the cart around the circuit. This is not going to be easy for any driver whatsoever. Klugel just needs to keep it neat and tidy, so does everyone else. David Girouche looking to keep himself ahead, so these drivers not having a great time at all. DD2 copped it first, and now it's Minimax. We've got juniors up next, so there is going to be a decision being made, I would imagine. There will be a point where it will be declared a wet meeting. But it's still very nip and tuck between that decision happening. And for my money, if the showers are not too bad, you might still be able to, if you've got enough temperature in the tyres. As that's very sideways coming out of turn one. Very sideways from David Girouche. He's managing to keep it going. But Washington used the curbs on the inside through the infield section. And into the next right-hander. Washington has got through. Lost a bit of traction applying the power down. But this now just about a race of survival as Girouche loses the back end completely. He threw into the hairpin, composed himself, gets back onto the circuit. Matthias Schulte has dropped way back because of what's happened. Because these conditions, it is not easy for the drivers out there. They're having to deal with it. And it's about those that will profit, that will be able to do the best job at hand. And even with the amount of steering correction he's having to do, Alexander Klugel has got presence of mind. You just keep an eye on him for a second. You're just going to see the amount of steering input. He's trying to do as minimal as possible in terms of throttle and brake modulation, because if you hit the brakes too hard, the back end's going to step out. If you power down, the back end's going to step out. So you're in between a rock and a hard place here. Alexander Klugel gets his head down. Through into the hairpin. And the lap times have dropped off considerably. We're running in the 1:07s. I'm not at all surprised with the changing conditions. That was only going to be a matter of time before that happened. He's doing a very good job, is Alexander Klugel in the 1:80. So I would think, running fast out of time. Alexander Klugel running in the 1:08s. Kenyon Washington, who's in second now, 1:07.4. Gap's now down to 2.5 seconds. If Kenyon Washington was the best part of 1.3 seconds quicker per lap, then I would say possibly that Kenyon Washington has a chance at the race victory. But Alexander Klugel is not looking back. He's just got the blinkers on. He's not looking back at all. And one of the more fastidious things from this is the timer now hits 1:07. That means to me that the next time around, I think it will be the final lap after this one. So less than 60 to go. Klugel's just trying to find some traction, as is Kenyon Washington. And through with 45 seconds on the clock. The gap was 2.5 seconds last time around. It's now down by nearly half. 1.390 is the difference between Alexander Klugel and Kenyon Washington, and that's very wide going through that corner there by both drivers. But Washington has got that down, that gap down by, oh well, the way things are going is that Kenyon Washington is less than half a second behind Alexander Klugel, because the timer is going to run out as they will exit the hairpin. So Alexander Klugel's got to watch himself. Kenyon Washington wanting to have a good day in the office today, and that is it. Timer has run out. After this, we've got one more lap to go. And, oh, that's wide from Klugel. Washington's got the move done. Washington taking the opportunity when it presented itself. He took 2 victories in Micromax here at this very circuit last season, and an opportunity has come his way. And Washington crosses the line. The final lap board is out, and it was 1.4 seconds. It's now, that's a 1.7 second swing in favour of Kenyon Washington, but he's just got to be very, very careful. He's got to feel what the kart is doing and just run how he wants to race. And that's helping him now. The way that he closed up on Alexander Klugel was great to see, but Alexander Klugel was just trying to get the kart across the line. So a minute has passed since the timer has run out. We go into the hairpin for the final time, and Klugel up the inside. Washington powers out of it, and Klugel can't do anything, but Klugel might look for a move going through into the next corner. Washington blocks it neatly, tidily. Overzealousness there, but Alexander Klugel, oh, that was a bit close there, but out of the final corner, 2 years in a row, Kenyon Washington wins on the final race day of the season. How's about that one? And he did that fair and square. That was very good racing. So Kenyon Washington wins Wertungslauf 1 here in Minimax on the final day of the season, championship day, by 0.286 seconds ahead of Alexander Klugel, who at one point had a comfortable 3-second lead, and it was deteriorated rapidly because of the weather conditions and also because of Kenyon Washington's pace. David Girouche takes 3rd ahead of Matthias Schulte, who started from pole position and unfortunately missed out. And last but by no means least, Naim Bretag. But Kenyon Washington wins Minimax Wertungslauf 1 by just under 3/10 from Alexander Klugel.